Here at MCON, one of the biggest speakers that we've seen is author Sebastian Junger. He gave a speech today about coming home and the challenges that veterans face.
On the war, thank you very much. We still need you.
Thank you for sitting down with us.
My pleasure.
So today you gave a little speech about coming home, which is an experience that's kind of synonymous with like homecoming, especially for people in the military. But that's usually like a happy circumstance, pomp and circumstance. How do you think that's sort of at odds with a lot of the experiences that veterans actually feel when they return home?
Well, I think there's the rush. I'm guessing, I'm not a veteran, right? I'm a journalist, but I've covered combat and veterans quite a lot. And I think, of course, there's a rush of seeing people you love who you haven't seen for a year or plus. But then when people settle into their daily lives, there's this really complicated comparison because this is the civilian world. Like, you're not called upon to function at the kind of high level that you are even in a support unit, much less a combat unit in the military. So I think veterans feel that they're a kind of a less, maybe a lesser version of themselves when they're back home, and they miss the sort of tribal connection of their unit, of the platoon, the company that they were in, and that all adds up to, and sometimes there's trauma. If they were in combat, there might be trauma, and that all adds up to someone who's psychologically at risk of depression and anxiety and all kinds of troubled states. So there's things you can do, but it is a problem. Like, it is something that has to be tackled.
Coming home is not necessarily, obviously, a veteran's experience. What do you think is in particular about coming home that sort of can, have that very initial like flood of emotion, I'm happy to be here, but then it sort of reverts into a state of beforeness that you were mentioning?
Right. Well, when people go away to do something difficult, whether it's the Peace Corps or a trip around the world, or of course combat, which is in some ways the ultimate hard thing, they mature very quickly, and they change, and they grow, and they get stronger, and all these things that we all know are good. And so then you come back, and I think particularly for young people who have had very difficult experiences overseas, you come back and you feel like, oh my God, this is a step backwards. This is the place where I was a child. I'm not a child anymore. I'm a grown man, a grown woman. Like, what? I'm back in my, figuratively speaking, I'm back in my high school bedroom. Like, what? This isn't me. I think that's very disorienting, and I think people can have that even if they're in their 30s and 40s and coming home to a marriage with children. I think they can still kind of feel that way. The demands of combat and the benefits of combat and just being in a close, unified group are so enormous, and they play to such ancient human values of altruism and connection and courage, that they're very hard to give up. And civilian life in this country, because we live in a fairly affluent, safe society, doesn't require those things from us. So we feel underused, and no one likes to feel that way.
So, in addressing those feelings of, I guess purposelessness and lack of community, is the solution for, like, say, a veteran who comes home to try and, find that community with similar people and to sort of, try and like re-find a purpose by joining, a service organization or something like that? Is that really sort of the solution, or the?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to do it off the top of my head, but I have like 5 or 6 things that I think help anyone who's coming home, including, of course, veterans. First of all, stop thinking that you're special. You are special. You had experiences that few of your peers had, but if you keep thinking about yourself as someone who's special and different and better, then you'll never reincorporate into the civilian world of just ordinary people. The point is to reincorporate into the society you fought for, and if you keep saying, no, but I'm better than them, I'm different, I'm better, then you're never going to do it. So stop thinking about yourself as special. You are, but stop it, right? Figure out a way to be useful, to be necessary. There's something very, very meaningful and sort of life-saving in providing help to others. So when you come home, try to be of service. That will help. Try to gather in groups, and one way to do that is an initiative that I started called Vets Town Hall. It's a forum where veterans of any war who served in any capacity can go to their town hall in their town or the city on Veterans Day and speak for 10 minutes about what it felt like to serve this country. And really, it should be pretty uncensored. Non-political, but uncensored. If the war was painful and difficult and you're angry about it, say that, right? It doesn't have to be all, pride and salutes, right? It can be that too. Wherever the war felt like, tell us honestly what it was. And if you claim to support the vets, gather and listen. We've had World War II vets talk, and Korean War, Vietnam, War on Terror, and you know what? It's all the same thing. In some ways, the wars change, but the basic human experience is very, very similar. And talking about it in community like that is incredibly cathartic for the vets, and really brings people together in the community.
It's interesting that you say that, because I think, you're a writer, you're somebody who, his medium is words. A lot of what you work in, though, is quite, sort of an ineffable experience. How do you sort of engage with, a community where you're not comfortable speaking, or you don't even have the words to describe the things that you've experienced?
Well, you do the best you can. We all have to use words to explain things that are hard to explain. You have a fight with your boyfriend, you're going to have to figure out how to explain what it feels like, right? Like, are there words for how you feel? Maybe not. But you got to try, right? So there's something very powerful about public testimony. Writing something down is great, but it's not quite the same thing as speaking in a group. That's why AA works. Individual one-on-one therapy does not help alcoholics very much. AA does, because it's a group experience. Well, likewise for Vets Town Hall. So the website is vetstownhall.org. You do not have to be a vet to start one. It costs absolutely nothing. And our vision is to have a Vets Town Hall in every town in this country on Veterans Day.
Amazing.
Probably won't happen exactly like that, but that's what we're shooting for.
And this is really my last question is, you spoke a little bit about trauma and how it can sort of change you, and in some ways it can make you better. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, adversity strengthens people, right? And trauma is a form of adversity, and it comes with costs. And if you don't deal with the costs, it can be extremely dangerous and damaging. But it also matures people, and it consolidates in their mind who they are, what they stand for, what they love, what they value, what's important in life. It can do all of those things. And I'm not saying people should go out and try to figure out how to get traumatized, but there's some utility to it. If you have been traumatized in a car accident, even a bad divorce, and certainly, of course, combat or something like that, you can make use of it. It will have matured you in some painful ways and also some very good ways.
Great. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for the conversation.